Hi, everyone, and welcome to the third webinar in the Friends of the Forest Preserve's Hidden Life of the Preserves webinar series. We'll get started in about 5 minutes to give everybody a little bit more time to connect to Zoom. While you're waiting, feel free to say hello in the chat feature. If you look at the bottom of the screen and click on chat, you can type in hello and tell us who you are and where you're tuning in from. Then please take a moment to answer a quick poll, which should be popping up on your screen soon. Just 2 questions. Okay, hopefully you should be seeing it in a second. Got somebody from Berwyn. Okay, that's not too far from the Calumet region. Oh, we've got somebody from the northwest side by LaBaugh. That's where I got my start in the forest preserves. And we'll leave the poll up for a while to give people a chance to respond. Looks like we've got most everybody, but a few people.
Northwest Indiana, welcome.
That's the Calumet region.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least close. Harvey, Illinois, and somebody from near Spring Creek. We had our Spring Creek webinar last week. Wow, somebody, Brianna from Albia, Iowa, but lives in Harvey. Okay. For a second, I thought we had somebody all the way from Iowa. Or tuning in from Iowa. To Avian from Chicago for one of our members, so it would seem.
We've still got people flowing in, so we'll just wait 1 or 2 more minutes.
Not sure why my picture's not up, why my camera's not on. There, start video. Wait, there we are.
You would have to, okay, there you go.
Oh. This didn't go as my other Zoom meeting, sorry.
We all learn a little bit each time we get on Zoom.
Each time.
Mm-hmm. All right, maybe just another 30 seconds. We've got, I think, mostly everyone. A couple more. All right.
Somebody tuning in from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Nice.
It's nice to learn something about a place closer to home in these pandemic times. Okay, I'm gonna end the polling. So sorry if you didn't get a chance to respond. It looks like looks like most people have visited a few forest preserves, but they want to learn about some new places to visit. You forest preserve experts and just a few people who only visit every so often or who are looking for an intro. So it's a pretty good mix. That's great that we've got a lot of people looking to learn about some new sites to visit. And yeah, good. Almost 2/3 of you are Friends of the Forest Preserves members. So thank you for your support. And you're gonna have to exit out of the polling results when you're done looking at them. I guess we'll get started now. Hi everyone, welcome to Hidden Life of the Calumet Region webinar. My name is Jared Zomber and I'm the North Branch Field Organizer here at Friends of the Forest Preserves. We're so glad you joined us and hope you walk away with some new information about the nature and people that make the Calumet Preserves amazing. We also hope that you find some new inspiration to get outdoors and maybe even volunteer some of your time to help nature thrive here. I already summarized the poll results for us. I'll tell you a little bit about Friends of the Forest Preserves. We unite people to protect, promote, and care for the forest preserves in Cook County. As an independent nonprofit organization solely focused on the forest preserves in Cook County, we work tirelessly to safeguard and improve the 70,000 acres of forest preserves for all of us and for generations to come. We're glad to see you here virtually today, though we'd much prefer to hang out with you in the outdoors. We are happy to be able to connect with you any way that we can, though. This evening's program is part 3 in a series of webinars that Friends staff are hosting this summer, and we will continue to zoom in on specific regions of the county for you to explore. Next Wednesday, July 29th, we'll be exploring the North Branch of the Chicago River, and then August 5th, the next week after that, the Palos region in southwestern Cook County. If you want to register for those, that can do that now. It's already on our website. A few housekeeping notes before I turn it over to Gloria Orozco, who will be presenting tonight. I'd like to introduce you to Alana Fetterman, who will be helping us deal with any tech-related issues we may have. If you have any issues, you can send her a direct message through the chat. Thanks, Alana. Second, we're going to mute everybody during the presentation, but we welcome questions through the chat feature. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. Please feel free to type in a question at any point and I'll read them out during the Q&A session after the slideshow. Please also be aware that we're going to record this webinar. And now I'm going to mute myself and hand it over to Gloria Orozco, the Calumet Field Organizer with Friends of the Forest Preserves. Enjoy.
Thank you, Derek. Hi, everyone. I'm Gloria. So I am just going to start sharing my screen with you all. Okay, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we'll get started. Okay, so again, welcome everyone to the Hidden Life of the Forest Preserves Calumet Region edition. Thank you all for giving us your time this evening. So let's just dive in. So I just wanted to share some photos with you of my own personal experience. Again, I'm Gloria. I'm the Calumet Field Organizer with Friends of the Forest Preserves. I've been part of nature most of my life. Just to give you a little background, during the first decade of my life, I spent most of my days swimming in natural waters, climbing trees, picking fruit from trees in my front yard, and running with friends and family in open fields. After moving to Chicago, my parents decided that since we were in a new city with people we didn't know and even language that we didn't know, that the best thing for me was to go from home to school and from school to home. So there wasn't really a lot of interaction with nature or even parks. So I spent most of my days watching TV, doing homework and playing board games with my sister. My first exposure to nature actually came my sophomore year of high school when I was gaining just a little bit of freedom of my own. When I joined an environmental club, they took us to Ted Stone Forest Preserve, and I just fell in love with the work that we were doing. We went out there during the winter. If you've ever been to a winter work day, you know how amazing it is to be out there. It was incredible to me that they would take us out there during the winter. I could only just kept thinking, I'm going to be cold. What are we doing? But I was excited to try something new, and I couldn't let go after that. So that summer, I joined the Chicago Conservation Leadership Corps program during the summer. It's a program for teenagers run by Friends of the Forest Preserves and the Student Conservation Association. I came back every summer after that and kept going until I was able to join one of the adult crews as a full-timer. In these photos, you can see me at different stages of my crew life. The bottom left photo is actually my sister and I. She joined the field in high school as well, and is currently working at Sagwa Nature Center. So I'm really excited that she was able to get into the field as well. And I left the field for just like 2 years because I became a mom and decided to go and do that full time. This is my little day. I figure she might brighten your evening. She's at a work day at Kickapoo just last fall, and I hope that she'll be able to love the outdoors as much as I do, and that she'll care for them as well. So I sort of made my comeback with the Chicago Park District, and now I'm here, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you some of my experiences, as well as, you know, everything I've been able to learn since I started this position just last fall. Share the knowledge that has been shared with me. I hope you enjoy. So just a little bit of overview as to what we'll be going over. First, just a little bit about the Forest Preserves of Cook County. Then a little bit about Friends of the Forest Preserves, the Calumet region, and sites of focus viewed through personal experience mostly. So first off, the Forest Preserves of Cook County mission is basically to bring people together to care for the forest preserves to the people and future generations. It is one of the oldest and largest forest preserve districts in the United States. Within the forest preserves are rare habitats that offer plant and animal diversity. As Chicago was fast growing into a great city in the turn of the 20th century, it was clear that the beautiful natural areas could soon vanish if not protected. Community leaders came together in efforts to create a forest preserve district. What started as only 500 acres of land, now known as Deer Grove, has grown into over about 70,000 acres. So just to give you a little bit of a representation, in the 1800s, that's sort of how the Cook County looked like. The green areas were natural areas, green spaces. The red were residential or industrial. And you can see in 2015 how it looks. Basically, all of the green is the forest preserves of Cook County. So as we talk about history and ownership of land, it's important to note that while green spaces that we saw in the previous slide were intact in the 1800s, they were not unoccupied land. Cook County's natural heritage is amazingly diverse, and as it is human history, this area has and continues to be home of Native American tribes. I will now be reading you part of the Forest Preserves of Cook County land acknowledgement. The Forest Preserves of Cook County acknowledges that we are on ancestral lands of the Council of Three Fires and a place of trade with many other tribes, And just to let you know, today we'll be focusing on the south zone of the Forest Preserves, circled right there on the map. So as Derek mentioned, Friends' mission is, well, to unite people to protect, promote, and care for the forest preserves of Cook County. We're a nonprofit membership-based advocacy organization that works closely with the Forest Preserve staff to solve problems together. Friends' role comes in different forms. We often get asked, but I didn't know you did that, or I only saw the crews, or I only saw the field organizers. So there's different aspects to our organization, whether it is the restoration crews working to restore a site, or field organizers engaging local communities, to directors attending commissioners meetings to advocate for the forest preserves. We're one of the parts of these hidden life relationships that bring people together to care for natural areas. We bring the concerns of the community to the attention of the forest preserve staff that we work with. Now, here we have a map of the Calumet region. In my eyes, it is special for so many reasons. I find it fascinating that there is such rich nature surrounded by so much industrial land. The Calumet region expands from parts of South Chicago throughout Indiana up to the Michigan and Indiana border. The region has been through constant change as settlers moved in and it began to become industrialized. Most of its 45,000 acres of wetlands were drained and filled to make suitable land for industrial purposes. In a way, thanks to companies and industries that buying more land than they needed, the Calumet region has been able to get some of that land back and care for it in the natural areas. There are pockets of unique marsh, prairie, oak, savanna still thriving today. These areas, such as Indian Ridge Marsh, which is with the Chicago Park District, or Bovian Woods Forest Preserve, are key for 230 resident and migrant bird species. The Calumet region is situated within the Mississippi Flyway, one of the most important flyways for migratory birds in the United States. Natural areas here also support rare plant communities that have become degraded by a long history of fire suppression, invasive species, and a legacy of use of disposal site for industrial, commercial, and residential waste. This neglect has a profound impact on the people of this region. For example, poor air quality. Here has resulted in higher asthma rates than the general population. This is only like the beginning of it. There's so much more to go into that in terms of environmental justice issues in the area, but that's a completely different webinar. These issues were raised by Hazel Johnson, the mother of environmental justice movement, who once lived in the Calumet region adjacent to Bovian Woods. Environmental issues should be considered and should be a topic of discussion for any organization looking to become involved with the community in mind. So to better explain and portray the uniqueness of the Calumet region and the importance of collaboration, I decided to put this video here from the Calumet Collaborative website about the Calumet Heritage Partnership. So I will play that for you. If it plays. Oh, webinars. Okay. Doesn't seem like it's going to want to play. So basically, there's group of different organizations, not only environmental, but also cultural, art, that came together to try and, oh, is it going to play? Yeah, it's playing.
The Calumet region is the center of the country. In so many ways, it's the center of its transportation network, it's the center of its biology, it's the center of cultures. Everybody wonders, you know, what is this place? They wonder, why is nature next to industry, next to these communities?
This area is really fascinating because of its mix of, you know, the natural landscape and the importance of the natural community and the intense industrialization that has brought so many people to the landscape. So I think it's that mix of culture and nature that is really important here.
The driving force of the Calumet Heritage Area is the grassroots, people who know where they are and love it and want it to be the best place that it can be. They're all driven by their passion for the place and have found each other in the process.
There are people who will meet you and bring you into areas, tell you how you can make a difference. If you've been with them for a little while, suddenly you realize you're pulling up invasive species so that native plants can grow. And you're probably going to end up rowing with the Northwest Indiana Paddling Association. It's all here and just sort of waiting for people to step right in.
The Calumet region, it's about hospitality that kind of invites you in and invites you to be a part of not only what used to be, but what, you know, is and what still can be.
This region is in a constant state of evolution from its industrial past, and innovation has played a strong role in the region from the very beginning.
I think what's exciting about national heritage areas is that they allow collaboration between groups that don't always work together, between the cultural community, between the nature conservation community, and for those who care about sustainable economic development. And it really gives them a platform and a place to work together.
The Calumet region, the most special thing to me is the diversity of the region, whether that's through the people, through the industry, through the innovation, the landscapes, the cultural and the natural resources. It's an amazing place full of amazing, diverse group of people that are pulling together for a common goal.
So as you can see from the video, collaboration across organizations in different fields such as environmental and historical have been key to make changes and for planning for what's ahead. So here, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of golf courses, campgrounds, and nature centers you can find in the region. For a more detailed map of the South region and what it has to offer, please follow the link that Ilana will be sharing with you on the chat. So again, I'm a field organizer. So as a field organizer, my work focuses on 3 main sites in the Calumet region: Kickapoo Woods, Whistler Woods, and Bovian Woods. My work not only includes recruiting new volunteers and supporting upcoming volunteer leaders, but to advocate for the needs of each site along with the volunteers. As to me, a somewhat hidden gem all on its own, found right next to I-94, a 250-acre site made up of a combination of glacial lake bottoms and Asian beach ridge, with some small pockets of artificial fill. Though it's surrounded by expressway, industry, urban development, and landfills, you're still able to find peace, calm, and beauty here. Because of the intersection of many ecosystems, including woodlands, wetlands, prairie, pond, river, the site hosts numerous diverse species of wildlife. Especially during the spring and fall migrations, the wetlands and proximity to the Lake Michigan make this area a perfect resting spot for birds. The Field Museum Color Science Action Center The Forest Preserves of Cook County volunteers and crews have worked hard to remove invasive species, collecting and spreading seed and shrub planting to restore the preserve. To better help you navigate Bovian Woods, we will be sharing a link to an interactive map created by the Field Museum Keller Science Action Center staff and a beautiful written piece to go along with it. A hidden element that I didn't know about, and it came up through a conversation with your friend and colleague, Lorena Lopez, the community engagement specialist with the Field Museum Keller Action Center. Turns out Bovian Woods is close to where the Tons farm was once located. The Tons, who were Dutch immigrants, operated a farm along the Little Calumet River that was a safe house for slaves seeking freedom through the Underground Railroad before the Civil War. The National Park Service has accepted the farm site to be included in the National Underground Railroad Network to Freedom Registry just this past September. The farm was roughly located at 134th Street and St. Lawrence. It's amazing to think about this history as you're hiking the site. You can also enjoy kayaking or fishing at Flatfoot Lake, hiking through the woods, birding, sitting by the lake, or volunteering, collecting seeds, or cutting down some buckthorn, archery on special occasions. Out of all of the things you could do at Bovian Woods, I must admit that my favorite by far was canoeing in Flatfoot Lake. Only a few times have I experienced such peace, tranquility. I strongly recommend you come out whenever the Forest Preserves offer the opportunity again. Another cool hidden element that recently got us all very excited was the nesting of the osprey at the osprey platform. These platforms were installed by Friends of the Chicago River. We will be sharing a short video that was captured at the site on the chat box. So as Maggie Jones with Friends of the Chicago River said, osprey depend on waterways with a healthy fish population. By continually improving our local Chicago River system, we invite these awesome birds back every year and hope for a nest on one of the poles to ensure future generations. The platform at Bovian Woods is near the Little Calumet River, where the birds can snap fish with their talons to bring back to the nest. The height also helps protect them from predators such as raccoons. There's 5 other of these platforms throughout different forest preserves. So now on to Kickapoo Woods, another one of the sites that I work at. It's a 238-acre site right off of Halstead, located in Riverdale. The Little Calumet River runs through the site. Here you can find wet mesic and wet prairie, riparian woodland, and recreational areas. Families and individuals come out to Kickapoo to enjoy a walk, a jog, or a bike ride around the mile-long paved trail loop. The picnic shelter and large grass areas serve as a perfect location for picnic, barbecues, and family gatherings. Folks also enjoy the model airplane flying field located at the end of the parking lot. Kickapoo Woods also has a carrying canoe landing with access to the Little Calumet River. An event with Friends of the Chicago River is coming soon, so make sure to sign up to the Calumet Region newsletter for future information. Ilana will be placing instructions on how to do that in the chat. A hidden gem here to me was the prairie. I can still remember my first time out there back in 2013, 2014, when Friends only had 2 crews. Our crew went out to work along the Calumet crew led by Brenda Elmore, who is currently the senior crew manager. for the Calumet crew. I was surprised to find a prairie when we walked through a wall of buckthorn, getting hit on the face by a branch as we carried the tools in. A lot of work has gone into the prairie by volunteers, partners, contractors, FPCC, Forest Preserves of Cook County, and restoration crews. Native shrubs were planted to replace the wall of buckthorn for birds to have a place to rest and nest. Here's one of the shrubs. We've been trying to protect them with caging because of the deer. Unfortunately, there's quite a bit of deer at Kickapoo, and they love those shrubs, so they will be eating them. So we try our best to make sure that we're updating the caging as years pass by. Now, as I walk through my favorite spot, the prairie, I am in awe at the blazing stars scattered throughout, the milkweeds as the monarch butterfly fly by, and the rattlesnake's master showing its sharp beauty. As I was walking by the prairie with June Webb, co-steward at Kickapoo Woods, I mentioned how easily I could get lost in there for hours, chasing butterflies and dragonflies, trying to capture a photo. It's fascinating to find peace knowing there's a main road and train tracks just a small distance away. I do want to mention, please only go into the prairie when you are being guided by someone who knows the site, to protect the flora as you walk around, and wear bug spray. June warned me when we went out there, and I did find a tick on me when I got home. It wasn't embedded, so thank God for that. So now off to Whistler Woods. I must admit, it is my favorite site in the region. It could be because I'm currently organizing the volunteer work days there, or because of the work I was able to put into the site when I was in the roving crew. I recently worked on a somewhat interactive map for you to be able to use as a tool when you come out and visit. Ilana will be sharing the link with you in the chat. So first off, Whistler Woods is a 130-acre site right off of Hosted and 134th Street. It's currently a site with woodland, savanna, prairie, and recreational areas. The right side of the trail was a large waste dumping operation, probably of material taken out of the river in the early 20th century. Restoration efforts aren't spent there currently, but we have found some cool stuff. So on the bottom left, you can see sort of like a blurry picture. So that's an old truck with the crew hanging inside of it and on top of it. It is still there, and you know, when school groups come out, they definitely have a fine time just going over there and taking a picture with it. I found it really cool that it's still out there. To me, there's something to love about one side of the trail being so disturbed, having mostly invasive brush and undesirable trees, and the other side being an oak woodland, where most of the restoration efforts have gone into. I was happy to be collecting mayapple seeds and blue cohosh this past weekend. The mosquitoes, though, were more than happy to have me there for breakfast, that's for sure. So now let me take you to an important spot here at Whistler Woods. This is the wall along the bridge crossing the Little Calumet. Before, artist Bernard Williams designed this mural that, in his words, captures the life of the champion cyclist Marshall Major Taylor. A small background on who Mr. Taylor was. He was an African-American man who was born and raised in Indiana. He received his first bike when he was 12 years old and went on to race regularly. By 1899, he held 7 world records. He was considered by many a civil rights pioneer, frequently calling out racism in the track competition world. I can even begin to imagine being an African-American man in that role during that time. It's an incredible piece of history, and I'm happy that it's there. The trail itself is 7 miles long. The trail is named after him. So that's why the mural is there. And the trail is about 7 miles long. It starts, or you could say it ends at Whistler Woods, and it ends or starts at Van Ryan Woods by 87th and Western. And it passes through different neighborhoods along the way. Some stretches are on street bike lanes, so make sure you plan accordingly before biking the trail. Now moving on to my favorite spot at Whistler Woods, aside from walking down the trail while listening to the birds, is the savanna that you find on the other side of the trail, all the way in the back. This area was restored by volunteers, interns, Kimby groups, and restoration crews. It is very near my heart because I was part of the restoration efforts as a crew member. I am in awe to see how beautiful it looks now and the peace I am able to find there. As you can appreciate from the photos, you can see that right across this area are tracks and industrial land. This to me shows, once again, the resilience of the land in the Calumet region. There's such beauty to all of this. My favorite activity to do here is seed collecting and listening to the bird calls, although I'm not the best at identifying birds, but I still like to hear them. And lastly, I wanted to share this beautiful memory. I came across this photo just as I was looking for what to add to the presentation. Some of my favorite people in the world are in that photo, including Deshaun Johnson, who dedicated a huge part of his life to restoring the very sites that we spoke about today. He's deeply missed and loved. We lost him to gun violence, but we will continue his legacy as the Calumet crew continues to work, and us as well as the volunteers. Change happens when we all come together. Part of the hidden life of the Calumet region are all the partnerships and collaborations that happen across organizations and communities. We become family. So none of us would be able to do what we do without each other's support. So thank you to all of our partners. So no matter how you'd like to be to explore, we hope you'll join in the fun. All of the sites host volunteer opportunities, birding walks, group hikes, special events, land history tours, and so much more. And remember, try different places and you'll be sure to find your community. Wherever you find yourself, I hope this webinar helps you find, celebrate, and share in the hidden life of the forest preserves. So I just quickly wanted to mention the upcoming webinars coming July 29 and August 5th. We'll be going over the North Branch with Derek Somber, Field Organizer. And then on August 5th, Palos Preserves with Zach Taylor, the Conservation Director. If you have any questions after this webinar that we weren't able to answer during the Q&A, please feel free to reach me through email preferably. And then if you'd like to follow us on any social media or go to any of our sites, please make sure to scan the QR code with your phone and it should take you to where we have all of our links. I will leave that up there just for a little bit so people can scan it if they'll like. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Great job, Gloria. So it looks like we've got about a little less than 20 minutes for questions. So please send us your questions. We got one question so far. Let's see, how June Novalich would like to know, how does wildlife deal with all that pollution? Which is a good question.
Yeah. So, that's part of the restoration work that we're trying to do. If we're able to restore these little pockets throughout all of this industry, they'll be able to go to that area and survive. I think it is definitely a concern with the contamination, but we've seen that when areas are restored, wildlife starts to thrive. So just, putting more emphasis as to one, restoration crews work, as well as volunteer efforts, and just being that advocate for those programs to continue and for volunteering to continue.
So I have a question, actually. You showed a picture of a shrub in a cage. What kind of shrub was that, and why is it, you mentioned deer, you have to protect it from deer, but why'd you choose to cage that shrub?
So they actually caged all of the shrubs. I can't remember the name of the top of my head. I had it written down somewhere. Mainly they get caged because of the deer. They will eat it and kill it. They were planted, and that was part of the planting actually, which was really nice. I believe in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. So they've been, we've been caring for them. Well, mainly the stewards having caring for them, caging them. Obviously, as they grow older, you have to expand the caging. But mainly it's because of the deer that will eat them. There's quite a bit of them there. Yeah.
Hey, the questions are starting to roll in. First question from Dave Peterson. I've heard about the native orchids in that area. Do you have experience with that?
I don't. I know of people who do, but obviously they will not share where they're at for obvious reasons. But I cannot wait to stumble upon one at some point.
Okay, yeah, it's good to be, sometimes you need to be a little secretive. What's the best time of day and year to visit these sites?
Ooh, that's an awesome question. Depends on what you like. So if you like the heat and you don't mind it, I think, no, you know what? I think between, that nice spot in August, September, like beginning of September, to me is like the perfect time to visit maybe like the prairie, since it will not be as hot, and then you can notice or start seeing the color change. It starts turning a little bit more purple brownish. I really just love the fall, so I like the start of the fall itself. I wouldn't recommend maybe visiting Whistler Woods during this time, because the mosquitoes are definitely killers. They attacked me even though I had a bunch of bug spray on. I personally like to visit Whistler more so in the winter, since during the growing season, all of the green grows so tall, you're not able to see it fully towards the river. And I personally love to be able to see it. So obviously during the winter, there isn't anything growing, so I'm able to fully see the river.
Okay, and Pat M would like to know if less people are visiting the Calumet during the pandemic, and if you've noticed any differences in the preserves as a result of the pandemic.
I actually think more people are visiting. We don't have an issue with overcrowding, but I think for that same reason, and because people were just, so tired of just being home, I definitely saw an increase in the use of the Taylor Trail at Whistler Woods, as well as just the loop around Kickapoo Woods. I haven't been able to visit Bovian, so I'm not quite sure how much more that site is being used.
So we have a question about accessibility at Bovian Woods, and if you know anything about any efforts to increase accessibility to the site.
Yes. So the trail itself is pretty wide. So I would think, I personally think it's really accessible. The whole trail, even going, well, no, because there are certain parts going into street cycling, but the section at Whistler Woods is actually pretty wide. I would say it's maybe over 5 feet wide. So pretty accessible, unless you want to go off the trail towards the savanna that I mentioned, then you'll start hitting more of like a rocky path, but still pretty wide. So it's pretty accessible.
And a question about paddling. Can you paddle from the Little Calumet from Lake Michigan all the way through the preserves?
I believe you can, but I think people have mainly just done it in organized events. I do know people go into the Little Calumet from Kickapoo, since you're able to just carry your canoe in. So how far you could go, I'm not sure.
And how about Sand Ridge? It doesn't seem to be included in your presentation. Why not, apparently? Carmen would like to.
Well, it gets enough attention on its own. No, that's not it. Mainly my work focuses on the 3 sites. That's mainly why I mentioned, I didn't really talk about it. It was listed, I believe, in just a quick overview of facilities you can find in the region. But I wanted to bring more focus to sites that usually don't get that much attention.
So I think we've covered all the questions that have come in so far. Oh, wait, we've got maybe a few more. Somebody, Jenny Voigt, is mentioning that there are some great field museum guides to Calumet area, and shows the orchids that are there. So, okay, other than that, I don't know if anybody has any questions, please send them in.
I see one that I would like to answer. So somebody, Jen, is asking if Josh Parker was my high school club sponsor. Yes, he was. So thanks to him, I am here. So I would very much appreciate if you can share the presentation with him. Yeah, thanks to him, I'm here. So yes.